Berenzino. Yeah, no, I figured that much out when that happened. When the 420 FPS lol happens.
Okay.
I picked the nighttime server, to be fair, because I know what I'm doing. Like right here, where this gentleman in chat is pointing out that I'm promoting switching spawns. Do it.
We dead, boys.
All right, respawn.
I'm so good at this game. Woo!
All right.
Talk to me.
Naked girl streams are not really a thing for a show like PAX.
Okay, I understand.
It's a family show.
We'll get some clothes on.
It's a family show.
So tell me about this game.
This game, DayZ.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a good thing you ask. It is a post-apocalyptic, open-world sandbox where the tagline is, "This is your story. You create your own experience." And that's really, I think, that's what makes DayZ special. Is it's not really like the guns or the bugs. The bugs do make it special, or the vehicles or the world. I think this is stayed true. Is what has made DayZ special is the experiences you have, and you want to tell your friends about it, right? You know, you want to put a highlight up on Twitch, or you want to tell your friends after work, or hop in. I guess Discord is the new hip thing. Discord.
Yeah.
And tell your friends what's going on there. I mean, when I started playing with Soma over at Twitch and Lou, now the official Lou, I think it is now.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing for us was we would all hop in a group Skype call, and this group Skype call was open. I know Skype, like what the hell. Skype call was open all the time. There was always someone in there. And we'd hop in and out of the call, and we'd tell each other like what had happened. And I was recently going over. I found that I had recorded essentially over a year's worth of daily Twitch broadcasts, like in excess of 6 hours per broadcast. And it's just sitting on a hard drive. And I've been going through that, realizing exactly how addicted I was to this game. And it's pretty excessive, to be fair. Pretty excessive.
But that's good. That's good that you have all that footage from them.
See, Walter here is complaining about the volume. It's too low.
You're too low. You need to talk louder.
I need to be louder?
Yeah.
Am I quiet for you?
No.
So I need to be louder?
No, I was just agreeing with Walter.
Well, Walter knows what he's talking about. So, I found that people apparently expected to get up here on stage and reveal, like, sweet things, like at sweet details.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for.
I didn't know that was the plan, that I was going to reveal things. So I figure 5 minutes before you... Is that us?
I don't know.
Because that's really loud. 5 minutes before we get up here, the stream is in early access. It is. This whole stage is in early access. But 5 minutes before I get up here, I go, well, they expect me to talk about things. So I should totally just, since we didn't do a status report yet, since I was flying, I should just start talking about some stuff.
Yeah.
And if we need to show some things, we got some pictures, not too many pictures, but we can talk about some details that are going on. A lot of people have been asking exactly Hicks up 50%, game sound up 20%. Why am I reading Walter's private messages? I don't know. I'm a professional. Anyways, we've been talking about the last status report about how since we just got settled back in after the holiday, because not much got done in the last 2 weeks of December. Everybody goes and sees their families. I went home for the first time for years, saw my folks for Christmas. It was a good time. But now that we settled back in, we got our first month effectively under our belt. We're like I said at the last status report, we're looking at our next update to be towards the end of February. Now, whether that's experimental, iterative, or stable branch, that remains to be seen. It really depends on how things look internally. But we're looking at putting the first of 0.60 in the consumer's hands to check it out and start figuring out what's going on at the end of next month. And our internal goals, what we really hope for, and granted this is in development, anything could happen. We could find a moderately serious issue, thanks Walter. Or it could just be butter smooth. But to be very clear, what I mean with that is 0.60 for us, our intent is to have the first iteration of the new render out there to replace the old legacy render, which means that we'll need to be running DX11 on all the machines. Mm-hmm. We've allowed people, despite our system requirements, to run DX9 for a while, but that is not going to work anymore once we push out the new render. It is 11, with our future goal to support 12. So that said, I didn't want to talk too much about kind of performance gains we're seeing with the new renderer because, again, this has only been tested internally on the hardware we have, the settings we have. There's literally hundreds of thousands of people that cycle through DayZ every month. Like you might see, say, between, I don't know, 14 to 20,000 concurrents, but of those concurrents, it's a much larger pool cycling in and out. So it's a huge hardware base to ensure that both hardware and software configurations are working properly. And that's why I'm very hesitant to commit to any specific games. But we've been looking at, as Yuja, my associate producer, mentioned earlier, we've been looking at some dense scenes, and we are seeing upwards of 100 plus frames. Now, that's mid-range on a mid-range settings on a mid-range card, and that is in a dense scene. I'm not 100% sure if that's the new Cherno or Nova or areas like Berezino and so on and so forth, but it is a typically lower performing area.
So things are looking good.
They are looking much, much better. I wanted to show before we came out. I wanted to show before we came out a video, but our lead engine programmer, Philip, goes by Fido, interesting nickname, wanted to make sure that the performance he saw in the new Chernogorsk, which is a big thing we've been waiting on pushing to the consumers because of the render, was smooth enough. Because he jumped in there and he's I see some issues here with the occluders we can make work better. So that's pretty much what's been holding up me showing a video of that. We still want to do the monthly or bi-weekly, depending on the frequency, videos where we show things in game before they're ready to be in the consumer's hands. And that's pretty much one of the major things I wanted to put in there. We wanted to talk about how the new render's starting to look. Wanted to talk about skinning or adding functionality to the new UI to get exactly where it should be. And in addition to that, I wanted to show some new user action functionality on how the fluid user actions work, not be locked into the old animation system. I wanted to show some changes to the vehicle simulation and so on and so forth. There's a whole bunch of things I wanted to show people in progress that we're going to probably end up slapping together as soon as I get back in prog, which will be the first week of February. But in addition to the new renderer, with our goals for 0.60, we want to see the first few iterations of the new UI out there. Because the existing new UI, it's as I've said before, it's programmer art. It's pure tech. There has not been any design functionality put in. In fact, I think some people have been messaging me on Twitter saying, "Hey, the new UI, I hate it because I can't drag items off into vicinity. Once I kill someone, because that's what you do in DayZ is you kill people."
Right.
Yeah. The new UI, that specific bug is, it's already been resolved. There's a whole series of things that I'm looking forward to seeing how the consumers react to it in 0.60. I don't even know how this shit's happening. How was this happening? It's not like we're making out. You got yourself a gun?
I do. I have a Glock and the REK.
PM-73 rack, Polish submachine gun, chambered in 380, which is coincidentally very comparable to the 9mm round, which is shared in the CR-75. It's one of my favorite pistols, CR-75.
I like the Glock.
You like the Glock?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah?
In front of your mouth.
That's my mouth. That is my. I went like this to my mouth.
Yeah, but it was down here on your chin.
It was down here on my chin.
Yeah, to your
wow,
mouth.
That was really loud.
Yes.
That was really loud. So we got a fantastic French streamer in chat. I believe he's French, and he was asking about Namalsk. So to be very clear, there was a little bit of confusion about. Hicks described the game as you kill people instead of you survive the apocalypse. You're entirely right. You are my problem, Daniel. So, in regards to Namalsk, with Namalsk, that map is actually that is a community created map. It's not an island in the speak of Army titles that we have any ownership of. That said, the author of Namalsk, Adam, the original author of Namalsk from Nightstalkers.cz. Everything all right? Did you get shot? Did you fall?
I don't know.
It tabbed out. Want to tab back in? No, that's BattleEye. You gonna click on that? Click
I did.
Nothing's happening?
No.
All right, let's try tabbing over. Hell if I know. It's not my computer. Let's just, while we totally give our server away, let's talk about the pictures that are up there.
Okay.
Anyways, let me finish my thought about Namalsk. Adam, the gentleman that made Namalsk, is he's actually one of our environment artists that work on Chinaris Plus. So one of the one of the things we talked about initially when we brought him on was having Adam kind of be the man that feels out the tool set for modding on DayZ. It gives him an opportunity to update his Namalsk specifically to function with DayZ, so that when we do roll out modding, that Namalsk will be one of the first things, assuming that Adam still wants to do it, but I'm pretty sure he does. One of the first mods that'll be entirely fleshed out and ready for DayZ. So when he pushes Namalsk out to the marketplace, he should have, last time I checked, I don't want to spoil anything for Adam, because he's been working hard on it, but I've seen he's got some custom items, new buildings. He's completely redone Namalsk so that every structure is iterable.
Oh, man, that's going to be good.
Do you remember the, I forget the name of the object, but the base down between the two mountains in Namalsk, where you can go underground, the tunnels and stuff? He's completely redone that. He's completely redone.
Really?
It. Yes. I won't go into what he's done, but it has been completely
now I'm
redone.
hyped.
Yeah, it looked pretty damn awesome. The Northeast Airfield has already been redone, Melon Man. It's already been redone. No, there's no new engine in 0.60. DayZ's been running on Infusion laterally for about 2 years as it's developed alongside DayZ. I cannot read Cyrillic. I apologize for any Serbians, Russians, Ukrainians. I can't read Cyrillic, despite the fact that I work on DayZ. Again, about the new player controller for MT Geary or Jerry, you think? Geary or Jerry? Right there. MT Geary.
Jerry looks good.
Jerry, all right. And for MT Jerry, as I said about the new player control and the damage system, these are things that I want to talk about in the upcoming dev video.
Oh, that's going to be good.
Yeah,
I'm excited to hear some player controller stuff.
To all the Russians. Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited. As far as the new damage system goes, I think that's. I don't necessarily think you're going to see a major gameplay change. You're going to see less bugs and maybe less exploits related to damage implications. But I think on a security side, and as far as DayZ's tech for DayZ, rather than using repurposed tech from other titles, this is going to be huge. I mean, it's the difference between fists being treated as a projectile in the legacy system to fists actually having their own damage model and being configured properly. So they are fists,
nice.
And they cannot be, I don't know, machine guns.
No more reloaded hatchet.
Well, we haven't had a reloaded hatchet.
I know.
Ever.
It was just.
Okay. You're making
part
a
of the
reference
joke.
to the fact that you were called a reloaded hatchet.
Yeah.
I was playing DayZ mod the other day, and I forgot that I had to reload my hatchet. But I think they did a good job about the reloading the hatchet, because the magazine capacity on the hatchet now is like, was it 10,000 or 100,000?
Yeah, last time.
It's ridiculous. So
yeah.
You're never going to need to reload that thing.
Last time I saw it.
But it still is amusing to hit R and see your character, do the weird animation.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyways, we were talking about Namalsk, and then segueing into hello Janko, segueing back into talking about the new render and the new UI. I do want to take the opportunity to talk about the Little Bird. So people were asking about the Little Bird, what's going on with the Little Bird, the first helicopter. The model itself is all but ready. It's just a matter of us configuring the actual physics simulation in multiplayer. It's been configured to work in single player right now, but it has to be set up in multiplayer. It's a mess in multiplayer right now, so the team just get in there and get it ready.
Everybody's excited to set up an ambush over a Little Bird, just saying.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited. We've also got laid out as a priority fairly soon. We want to get the artists on top of the fixed-wing aircraft, because we want to at least get as soon as possible each type of variation of major aircraft. So your bicycle, your helicopter, your fixed-wing, your boat, that kind of stuff, to get things mixed up a bit. I know the bicycle is just all about done model-wise. It's just a matter of getting programmer time to make sure that is configured properly, physics-wise. It was a big undertaking for us from the get-go when we put DayZ into early access. Was the difference between using the legacy Arma 2 physics and vehicle simulation and deciding, no, we're going to put the time in and try and get it to where we want it to be. If you remember, there pretty much was no physics and a very basic vehicle simulation in Arma 2. And we thought we could do a lot better if we just put the time into it, for lack of a better word. And, you'll start to see things. I mean, you already see handling differences.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, vehicles kind of stick to the road in Arma 2, and the way they behave is completely different. Now, we're nowhere near where we want it to be for DayZ. I mean, it's buggy as all hell, of course. That's because we're nowhere near being done. In addition to the vehicle simulation to continue to be iterated upon while we're in development, the gentleman that leads that part of the team responsible for that is they're actually working on finishing operational fluids and additional parts so we can have that finalized set of what is required for a vehicle to work, be it, I believe off the top of my head, I know Peter's going to kill me for not going off of a sheet of paper for this, but I know we wanted to do, in addition to fuel, we wanted to split fuel potentially into diesel and petrol or gasoline. We have spark plugs and glow plugs and batteries. Yeah. We wanted to add a drive belt, potentially an alternator or radiator in there. We wanted things to be a little bit more in-depth, but not too far. Like pairing that, the functionality of the vehicle and how quickly it is to repair it, how many parts it requires, goes hand in hand with the continued development of the economy and making sure that the parts are varied enough and spread out across Chernarus enough that it takes you some time to do it, but it's not too much. It's a constant back and forth with DayZ as we try to keep the title as enjoyable as possible while it's still being developed. There's a constant back and forth of, is this too hard? Is this too in-depth? Is this too easy? And we swing back and forth all the time. I can remember talking to Break. You know Break, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember talking to Break and him just giving me grief about how easy it was to find food. And then, I tweaked it a little bit, tuned it back one way, and then the next week when that build was out there, I had plenty of people just gnashing teeth. Oh, I'm starving, and then came the classic Hicks quote: "Just pick apples. Just pick apples." I mean, I think people have actually started to understand the apple thing now, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think apples are apple trees and getting resources from the ground. I don't know. I don't want to go a little bit too far off topic here, but recently I've been playing Rust a lot, checking out what they've been doing over at Face Punch, and it's pretty fantastic. And one of the things I find fascinating with the design approach over there is that the user base for Rust doesn't seem to have any hurdles in understanding that they have to gather all their resources from the world. I mean, sure, you can still get things through barrels, crates, trash cans, your rad towns, your airfields, your water treatment plants, so on and so forth. But for the most part, I've noticed that people seem to understand the connection between the rock that you spawn in with and the resources that you harvest. And that might just be because of the basic crafting recipes that they provide, or it might be just because of how 1, 2, 3 simple the resource pool is. It's not too convoluted. So it's looking at successes like that and how other people have approached it is something we continue to look at when it comes to DayZ. Are we going too far? That's like the big thing I always ask Peter is let's make sure that we stay true to what Dean wanted, which was an unforgiving survival simulator, but that we don't go too far into like only Dean's gonna play this now, because that guy plays some punishing games. He's the type of guy who will get a bunch of people in for Minecraft. Like, let's play Minecraft. I got this great custom map, and then he just drops it on you that there's no respawn. Once you're dead, you're dead. And it's like goodbye. Go play something else. Anyways.
Yeah, he plays with all the post-processing and everything on it during DayZ.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, he plays with head bob. I can't play
head
with
bob,
head bob.
Everything.
I can't play with head bob.
It's hardcore about it.
I cannot play with head bob. It's rough. It's rough. To answer Zombie Rick's question in there, it's currently a security issue, and we're actually working on resolving that. And paired with that, working on actually getting that spawning functioning again.
Should I restart this or just?
Before we get into that, since we're already out, I wanted to go over a couple. I mean, this is mostly content stuff, but I thought we'd talk to you guys about this. So if you notice, I was. Where's my mouse here? Where's the mouse?
It's right there.
No, this is the mouse. Where's the cursor? There we go. All right. So I was looking at this is a little out of date, but this is Chernarus Plus, and I was looking at. There's another thing. Peter's going to kill me for talking about this before we're ready. Krasno, we want to scroll over. There's Grishina. I want to scroll down. There it is. There it is. Middle of the screen. And it's a favorite place of Alter right there. You see Alter.
Yeah.
Favorite place of I don't know if you played with him. YouTuber and streamer by the name of Barely Infected. So Renee, Barely Infected, he absolutely loves Alter. And this is I've got plenty of time, so forgive me for going a little off topic. We'll get back to the render. We'll get back to supporting shooting from vehicles and all that stuff. But I wanted to take a quick moment since I'm here all week, and I think I'm on stage for 4 hours tomorrow to talk a little bit.
That's a long time.
Yes, it is. All right, so Alter, specifically in relation to what we're talking about here, make sure the stream can see this. I'm pretty sure you guys can see this. You can see this on stage here. I was talking with Peter before he left, and we were talking about we're continuing work on server-wide communication because we didn't want to just throw side chat out there and do the quick and easy way. I mean, I'm sure people operating mods will be able to turn side chat back on if they want to. I mean, the low-level type of functionality that N4 Script has, people are going to be able to do crazy stuff to DayZ. But when it comes to the vanilla experience, we didn't want to just make it cheap and just throw side chat or global chat back in there. We wanted it to try and feel organic within the world. And that's why I'm looking at Alter here. Peter and the design team have been working on broadcast stations, radio stations that people can go to and broadcast across the whole map. And they can be picked up on civilian radios, they can be picked up on walkies and so on and so forth. So it's kind of a control point for controlling communications over the server. And we were talking about where we wanted to put it, and I don't think we finalized on this, but Peter and I both agree we thought Alter was a perfect spot. It's going to require the environment team to go in and clear out the existing house that's there, but it's a very nice high point. One of the things I like about Alter specifically is the hill that it's on is it's very bare around it. There's a little bit of trees up top, but for the most part, it's got a wide approach. You can see people coming from all angles, coming from Gorka, coming from Devil's Castle. I'm pretty sure you could see Devil's Castle from Alter. So the art team, I'll pull that folder back up, have been working on open this? The new structure model for the radio station. Now this is untextured, mind you. I don't have a problem showing untextured because to go back to Rust, they seem to be able to pull it off just fine. So why don't we do it? So this is the untextured radio station. It's modeled after a couple inspirational radio stations we pulled from real world, like some US-based ones, some Soviet ones, some abandoned ones like the Ukraine and so on and so forth. And I can't read Cyrillic, but I believe we did settle on a logo and a name for the station. And again, this is going to be located. The intent is for this to be located in Alter, which, as you see, is just a little outside of Gorka, Grishino. It's kind of a centralized point in the map. It allows rapid access from most areas. Originally, I was thinking about putting it up near Star Yar, up north.
Right.
But we didn't want to put too much of that stuff that we thought everybody should be able to access too far from the player spawns, right? And up north pretty much meant that it's only going to be geared people there, or vehicular people there. We wanted to give it a chance if you were able to grab the resources to make it over there.
That's going to be nice.
I mean,
you said multiple or just one?
Just one. Just one centralized radio station for now. Now, there's other areas to the advanced communication we're still working on. The megaphone, for example. The megaphone's tech work, I believe was finished a little bit before I left, which means the design team still needs to work on it, but we need to test it and so on and so forth. But we wanted to support megaphones to allow you to, in urban areas, to broadcast a voice loudly over a small area but not hit the whole server. Kind of, I guess, lock Carl and his big old bushy beard into a building. And you can, hold yourself a little, get a police car out there, have a standoff, come on.
I like this idea.
Yeah. I mean, there's things you can do. There's plenty of things you can do. But I'm going a little bit off here with the communication stuff. We'll talk more about that when that's ready. No, you cannot play old branches of DayZ. It's just not technically feasible. There's more than just the client that would need to function there. Yes, to quick quick couple questions here. Yes, the VoIP, I don't think we're really happy with the VoIP. I can't promise that it's going to be taken care of by early access release, but it's something we're definitely looking into. I don't think Peter or I are very happy with the VoIP. As far as server performance, that's going to be something that we're going to continue to be working on up until we hit 1.0. Like I don't think there's any point in which it's too good, right? So it can only get better. Like we're just going to constantly be pushing on that. And one last question before I go back to talking about the new render and the new UI coming to 0.60. CLE upgrades like randomization of ammo and weapon quantity parts. That is something I did want to talk about. I've been speaking again with Break about the whole concept of trying to find the right balance between ammunition and weapons, and kind of the one thing that's always people don't read. The one thing that's always been there is magazines have just been constantly difficult to find, and when you find them, they're full, right?
Yep.
And when I was talking with Peter about this, because recently been doing a lot of discussion of looking towards beta, where a lot of the optimization and bug fixing and balancing comes, right? And how we're going to approach this. And looking back on all the data we have over the last 2 years of early access on how things worked when we went either way with things, made things more common, more rare, and so on and so forth, is we wanted to try and go ahead and add some elements of randomization to the volume of magazine quantity. So it's going to be much more common to find an empty magazine than a magazine that has ammunition in it. We'll rely on finding ammunition to put in that magazine, mostly on the boxes and those piles of ammo, which allows us to increase the quantity of magazines spawned to pair with weapons. So it's much easier to find that, all right, I found a magazine for this and this weapon. Now I just need to look for ammo instead of,
Is that also
from a gameplay perspective, from my perspective, it seems fascinating to see people have to make that tactical decision with chambering, right?
Right.
Like I've got this weapon, I'm in this gunfight, and I'm chambering. I've seen you do it with a sporter, for Christ's sake, but for the leg or the tail of the game, as the expression goes, it's not continuously rewarding. You need to be able to give people a little bit more access to that weapon becoming something they can defend themselves with. So we're going to try having the CLE start spawning empty or near empty magazines so that we can increase the quantity of the magazines for each weapon.
Okay.
That also should pair with the attachments, randomization of attachments, which is very similar to how vehicles should be working. They should spawn with random parts. A lot of them right now don't. They all tend to spawn, for the most part, with no doors, no hood, no tires, but fuel, right?
Right.
They're supposed to be spawning, just like in the mod, with a randomized state. You might find a vehicle with 4 tires that are damaged and a little gas, but no spark plug or battery, or you might find all the parts, but maybe 3 of the tires are ruined.
Right.
And that same tech is to be used on weapon attachments. Instead of finding just like when you find an M4 when they're spawning properly, instead of finding just this one M4, you could find an M4 with an ACOG on it. You can find an M4 with some kind of red dot and a RIS. Find an M4 with a different butt stock and maybe a 60 round mag or a drum mag or something along those lines.
So that is coupled the mags occasionally spawning with the weapon.
Yes.
Would that be beside the weapon or just in the weapon, most likely?
Well, when magazines are spawned by themselves, they could be anywhere that would be, because the buildings have these, if you look at the mesh of the building, they have these proxy points, these memory points, where the spawn system knows, these 3 points are defined as weapons. So in this area, this is where weapons can spawn. So the magazines still have a chance to spawn on points defined as ammunition, I think is the category for that, or ammo. I could be wrong. It's been a little while since I've looked at it. And then there's also the additional possibility of them spawning as an attachment to the weapon.
Okay.
So that can go on many number of directions.
That would be nice.
Yeah, I'm personally looking forward to that. A couple of the issues that we noticed going out the gate when, for example, I absolutely love this. Recently, one of our broadcasters, Sacriel, has been really advocating the feedback tracker, and it's personally allowed me to get some outstanding repro steps and bug data coming in from both people that watch his channel and his content to just other people that happen to follow him and see him doing that, going, I should do that too. So, a good example of that is he put in a ticket not too long ago about commonality in the spawning system. So like if you're up at the Northwest Airfield and you're at the tents, he put in very specific examples of like on these servers you're going to see all these filled with this item, right? And we got IPs, we got repro steps. So I was able to take QA and hunt down the storage files for the servers, the logs for those servers, and give all that raw data to the programmers responsible for that, which was outstanding because we tried to reproduce it internally and we just couldn't do it, and it was in the wild where it was really coming from. And getting that data from all those users, they used the feedback tracker, they gave us good repro steps, they gave us screenshots, server IPs, continued to add notes, and we figured it out. Like I think we figured out what the issue was. There was some let's say multiple uses on tags that weren't required. It was confusing the system, so we ended up doing a full audit of the tagging system on the economy, and then after doing that, we isolated that there were some points that were just not getting populated. And now, after running more tests and addressing the bugs, we're seeing the proper quantity that is defined in the mission file spawning in the world.
And that's what early access is all about, right?
Outstandingly, yes. That is what early access is about. It's getting that kind of stuff. It made my day, honestly. I hope he continues to do it, and I hope you do the same. And don't assume
I'm busy.
Just because we make the games.
I'm busy killing you with the sledgehammer.
That's true. That is true. That is true. All right, so we have about 15 minutes left. So I wanted to take the opportunity to circle back and talk about the new render and the goals we have coming from 0.60 and the new UI and where we want to go with that. So I'll touch on the UI first, since I spent more time talking about the render. As far as the new UI, I mean that doesn't just include the inventory screen. That includes the server browser. That includes the main menu. That includes all our dialog boxes, our options menus. That includes our loading screens. And before I left, I think over the last few weeks, I've been sitting down and going over how the functionality should operate on both for myself and Peter, and what we wanted. We've reached, I think, some outstanding designs, despite the fact that in the mock-ups, I'm going to call him out on this, my lead game designer used Comic Sans in the mock-ups. Comic Sans font.
Nice.
Yeah, he puts this up on screen in the meeting room like, Peter, that's Comic Sans. Like, the only thing you could have done worse was Papyrus. It was horrible. But, so yeah, we settled on a main menu that really pushes home the statistics of DayZ, like the global statistics. Like, this is your story. This is how long you survived. This is what this character has done. It also identifies, some quick data that'll get you in-game as far as, I've played on server A, B, and C before. I have characters there. As long as they're officials, you can tab through, you see your character in his gear, switch through different characters. Instead of just seeing, like on the legacy menu, you just see the one that you played most recently, that data is stored locally. This will allow you, it'll start storing that stuff locally from the servers you play on, so you can view multiple characters, whether they're dead or alive, and so on and so forth. And then moving into the server browser, the big deal for me was, and again, I don't want to give too much credit to Gary Newman and his team on Rust, but I really liked looking at their server browser, how very clear it was. What was an official game server, what was a community game server, what was a mod. I didn't have to know any server names or structures or anything. It was just very easy to understand. And I thought for a title that is so dependent on the service, like that persistent hive, the shared experience on official servers, that it was important that people, when they install DayZ and they get in, they don't, because I get this question all the time, they don't get confused about what is an official server run by Bohemia and what is, Joe's Crab Shack 5,000 M4s,
Yeah.
It's credit to the people that have asked me that question. It's very confusing. So we've broken it into some hard filters that can't be disabled. Of the first tab when you hit play and you see that server browsers, you see a list of Bohemia run vanilla DayZ experience.
Nice.
They're all in the same hive. They might be on like first person and third person, but they're all Bohemia.
Mm-hmm.
You know that there's not going to be any unscheduled restarts, not going to be unscheduled wipes. This is the official experience. And then the next tab is community, and that'll be anything that because we plan on releasing both our server binaries and the actual Hive package, so people can run their own Hive if they want to, just like they did in the mod.
Yeah, that's going to be really important whenever.
Yeah, it'll allow you full control over all the same tools that we had, we have now with DayZ. So people will be able, if they're running their own community server, they'll be able to change, how the frequency spawns, the location of players spawn. I mean, there's just so much they'll be able to change there. Parts, rarity, and vehicle spawns, dynamic events. It's pretty outstanding. Even to go so far as have access to frequency and quantity of infected in their spawns and their positions. It's wonderful. But putting that out there, that community tab is very important because there's iconography and like a legend that allows you to quickly understand and sort what you're dealing with community servers. Now these are only vanilla DayZ, right? They're not modded servers, but the owners can modify certain values within the game. Economy stuff, server uptime, the rules. Give more control for people that want to be in that tab. Now that tab, that's not the first thing you see again. The first thing you see is the official tab. You have to navigate over there and find your friend's server. And then there's a third tab, and that's mods, and that will be anything that is listed in our server browser, our Steam whitelisting API, that is running something from the Steam Workshop. And you'll be able to filter based upon, through the launcher, the stuff that, because we're doing an external launcher, you'll be able to filter only the mods you have installed, or you can view all of the mods in general, like every server. There'll be a nice little button in there so you can navigate to the Steam Workshop. But so you got that 1, 2, 3 punch.
So sweet.
It should be very easily understood. Now, as far as the in-game UI, the inventory screen, there's been a lot of back and forth on the design of that. You've seen Jan Tomaszek, one of our designers, he's put up on the forums some of his concepts, his early mock-ups, and right now it's just a matter of us getting that iteratively skinned and the functionality added in, and you'll start to see that over the coming months, past February and into versions past that, where we start dialing that in. But be very aware that most of the major issues we noticed functionality gameplay-wise from the non-skinned programmer art, just pure tech new UI, have been resolved. Our goal is to get this as functional into the consumer's hands for hopefully 0.60 so that we can kill off the legacy UI and really focus on getting the new UI functional as it should be, knocking those bugs out. And again, not to circle too far back on the whole people using the feedback tracker, but recently one of the things that got put into the new UI as we're looking to start moving that over to replace the legacy UI was the option to filter chat messages, broadcast messages. You can filter now BattleEye messages, server messages, direct chat, vehicle chat, anything that can be typed and displayed on your screen, aside from your own status messages, which are needed to survive, can be disabled.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, it helps. It helps. It's by default they're turned on, so server operators won't have to worry about information about their server not being viewed natively. But if someone has the experience with DayZ and wants to turn that off, they can. And again, on the new UI, before I take a couple minutes to circle back to the new render, I saw someone asking about the status messages, and specifically the UI that you'll see if you're using the new UI right now, the little UI elements down below that kind of look like they harken back to DayZ mod. You've seen them, the blood drop and so on and so forth. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't go, again, we didn't want to go too far into that arcade. We didn't want to go too far into the simulation. The text messages and the UI elements within the inventory screen, they work. They've worked for 2 years. People can understand it. But one of the things I noticed going over my VODs and going over other people's VODs from around summer 2012, call it the heyday of DayZ mod being streamed on Twitch, when there was tons of people doing it, is a lot of how to navigate the world and figure out the systems of DayZ were communicated without text, without large UI elements, with just indicators, like little, like for example, the little ear icon. You remember the ear icon?
Yep.
And those bars would increase when you changed the type of terrain you were on. And you learned rather quickly, oh, I'm making more noise. That's how the infected are hearing me. Mm-hmm. And elements like that I thought were critical to be like an out-of-the-box experience. But for those that don't like it, and there's probably plenty that have gotten into that hardcore, I don't want to see any UI elements, just like the quick bar, it can be toggled off. You don't have to see it. But it's there, and it also allows us to provide for people that prefer playing in third person, like, for example, in your vehicles. It allows us to, when you're in a vehicle, add some new elements to that minimized UI down below, so you can see what gear you're in when you're driving a manual vehicle.
Yeah,
you can see what
beautiful.
all your critical dial information on the dash should be communicated there. Things like your stamina, just a very small little bar in the corner. It's very minimalist UI that only provides you the information you need at the moment, and you can still opt out of it. And that will be functional a little bit after the new UI gets put in, because that's dependent upon the new player controller, new user actions, new animation system all getting moved in and replacing the legacy, because that's where it gets its cues from, is that completely rewritten action system, which is all now in N4 script instead of an SQL.
Man, I'm so excited for all the stuff ahead. There's so many big things.
2015 for us was, like, internally it was a pretty stressful year because there was a lot of tech work and audit on, like, technical debt that we had to do to figure out where we need to be to get the title to the experience we want, and had to make a lot of hard decisions on, like, this is going to take some time to get this done, or our initial iteration, we were wrong. We need to change this up a bit and move more towards this kind of system. And that's what 2015 was for us. I mean, sure, we got some good stuff out there. We got the central economy really started finally humming properly. Persistence started saving. There's a lot of iteration on the vehicle simulation and a lot of new content that went out there. Continued updates to BattleEye, but internally, like everybody, it's every morning, every evening, it's on our minds. Stuff like the new renderer, the new UI, server performance, the new animation system, player actions, user actions. These are major things that will have a massive change on how DayZ is played, and nobody wants people to see it more than we do. We gotta spend the time to do it right. Yeah. So we got a couple minutes here, so why don't we go ahead and try and take a couple questions from chat. Will you remove the stones? We need to. It's Renee. So Renee is talking about altar. There's actually an altar up there of stones, like in a demonic altar, and he's wondering if that's going away. I'd like to keep it. But it's really up to Senshi and the environment team.
There are a couple others as well.
Yeah, there are a couple others. I know. There's a couple. So Waylon Yutani, these guys are pretty cool. I know they have a YouTube channel. I think they're a community. They're asking about powering streetlights. So I can't really go too far into that, but I know that Peter actually right now, before I left, was finalizing some of the design and functionality for the Bratislava gameplay designers for the generator and the electric fence. And let's just say there's a lot of stuff that they're working on to evolve what a player camp is in DayZ. It was one of the things that I felt that we could really, since we have the time, expand upon from DayZ Mod. Like DayZ Mod, it was tents, right? It was tents, the sandbags,
Yep.
It was hedgehogs, it was concertina wire, and that was it. Yeah, vehicles,
Yeah.
That was it. And one of the things that I find is repeated the most, both in mods of DayZ and in other survival games, is giving people more of an opportunity to have a physical presence in the world, right? And I don't want to see us go too far down. I mean, there's some titles that I enjoy, but I don't like their building mechanics, where the structures, the textures repeat too much, and they just look like a little too, like that just sticks out like a sore thumb. And after watching our art teams, both locally and our external artists, turn out some really naturalistic looking. I mean, if you look at Chernarus, it looks lived in, right? It looks,
right.
Even though we repeat buildings often because of just the nature of development, it still looks lived in. It looks natural, and that gave me a lot of confidence that I think we can pull off player-built structures that are distinctly different from the in-world structures that you see, yet look natural.
So no sky bases is what you're saying.
No sky bases. And no crazy giant buildings that look like there's a city. But I think there's something there. I think there's something there for us. As far as allowing people to have an impact on the world.
Cool.
Let's see if we can take a couple extra questions. Better Thunder Lightning. Horror View. If you caught, it was not the last status report. It was a status report before Christmas. I did show at least one screenshot of the new rain. The rain effects are changing.
Oh my God, It looks so good too.
I really liked it. Yeah. Dynamic events, we've been talking about it. Some new dynamic events is not really a priority. The system is there and functioning. One of the documentation pieces that are being put together by Adam, the gentleman who's responsible for the mosque, is kind of it will be a basic guide on how for modders to use the dynamic event system to quickly configure their own dynamic event that they can have the central servlet spawn all over the place. So maybe not from us initially. There's some stuff we'd like to try, but like this, it's wide open. It's one of the most easily configurable systems for DayZ.
What about you mentioned at TwitchCon a little bit about contaminated areas?
Contaminated
Is
terrain.
there any more that you can talk about?
So we were talking about doing that up at TC, right? That's that military base way up north. And I was talking with Senshi, our environment artist, a little bit before I left, and it looks like all our major structures are done there. It's just a matter of sitting down with the game design team now and talking about getting that, I guess, call it a damage over time area effect set up to those actual corpses. We've got several tiered. We decided to go with several different tiers of sizes of corpse piles so that the environment team can actually use them outside of TC. So maybe there's a pile of burned corpses in the middle of a village or something. Just to continue to allow them to make the world look a little more lived in. But I think really now it's just a matter of sitting down with the game design team and talking about how they want to configure that slow burn if you don't have a hazmat suit when you enter TC. So I think the initial implementation of TC might not have it, but it'll definitely get done. Probably right around beta, I'm thinking.
That's gonna be good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sounds good by player. Sound different than indoors. So as far as sound goes, I don't want to overpromise here, because we're still waiting to move some of this tech over. But we sat down with some of the programmers in Bohemia, some of the guys from Arma, some of the guys from other titles, about some changes to the sound system that we can move over to DayZ. Some of the tech we can inherit from Arma 3, and some of the changes that we ourselves can get made. And I know that we're looking to merge that in, hopefully maybe late February, early March. But once that gets in, poor sound designers are going to have so much work to do. Fortunately, it's cross-compatible with the legacy configuration settings, like on how sounds are configured before. So I don't think we're gonna break anything immediately, but adding that depth, I think it's gonna take maybe a couple months and start seeing some progress there. But I think there's gonna be some definite improvement, because personally I think we could do a lot better. I think we could do a lot better when it comes to sounds. I think sounds are absolutely critical. I recently I picked up Squad. Have you played Squad?
Mm-hmm.
I really like some of their sounds in there. Like, it wasn't authentic. Well, I mean, it wasn't realistic. It was authentic. Like, there were some points in which I'm like, that's not what that sounds like. But it's still like the feeling,
enough to get you
the
in,
ambience,
suck you in.
I was immersed.
Yeah.
And I think that was what was important. Because sometimes you need to take a little suspension of disbelief, right? You need to get into it a little.
Right.
It's just like a good film. Anyways, a couple questions before we're off here. Oh, we're technically off, so I guess one more question. Will the PSO respawn on its own again? Yes, I can answer that. Yes, it will. And about the backpack I was teasing in the foul video, I don't know what I was teasing, but we did track down a backpack recently that slipped through the production pipeline. That'll probably be added in to spawn. A military backpack will be added in to spawn with the next push to stable.
Any of the new weapons, maybe?
Any of the new weapons?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have to be very careful about trademarks, right? Mm-hmm. But Peter's gonna kill me. I'm sorry, Peter.
Yeah.
So you know that gun, the Scout in Counter-Strike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I like
really?
That gun. I like that gun.
You like that gun, do you?
Yeah, I like that gun.
That's nice.
I think I'm looking at, for us, a NATO long-range weapon would be ideal. But there's plenty more guns coming.
There's going to be
Obviously,
a lot of people excited
we've
about that.
been recently talking about the light machine guns, the support weapons. We've got the 249 coming, the PKM coming. I'm pretty excited about that. I think I know Break, for example, has been messaging me every now and then. So where's the 249? Where's the 249? Yeah.
He would. I remember he tore it up with that thing in Day 0.
Yep. And I guess on the final note, keep in mind, people, that when it comes to sway and hold breath and the gunplay, a lot of that is going to come when we start dealing with balance in beta. But we are talking about it more now. We're very more, I guess, cognizantly aware of it. We are thinking about it a lot more now that we're getting closer to that phase. So the way it operates now is not how we want it to. we're looking for a happy medium. It's going to take a lot of tweaks. So just be patient and file those bugs on the feedback tracker. I cannot begin to tell you how helpful that is. But thanks for coming out, Austin.
It was fun.
Yeah, tell people where they can find you if they don't know what your stream is.
Play games on Twitch occasionally.
Yeah,
Twitch.tv/xsmack.
Yes, xsmack. I know it sounds a little odd, but there's no C in there.
Yeah, no C. XSMAK.
Yes, yes. Thanks for watching, guys.